All right, what's up, guys? It is coming towards the end of September. It's about to be October. We had our first cold night, not last night, but the night before that. I was waking up pretty cold. Had to throw a beanie on my head to keep the warmth and shove my feet in my sleeping bag to keep my feet warm. And then today I just said, screw it, we're pulling out the sleeping bag and we're staying warm. And that worked great. It was great. I stayed warm last night. Today, I'm going to be talking about the altar stuff. I got all the things. I think I think I have everything. We're gonna go through it. I know that all the stuff that I ordered for the altar is here. All I'm missing right now is the pendants that I ordered that I'll be turning into talismans. I don't know when they'll come. I messaged a lady on Etsy and I said, where's my stuff? And she's like, just give it another 3 more business days. And then if it's not there, we can try to work on a refund until you do get it. Then if you do get it, you can then pay me after that. I was like, I can wait 3 days. Let's see what happens. So like by Wednesday, they should be here. I'll show you guys next weekend. They're pretty cool. But before I get into the altar stuff, I guess I'll just update you real quick on everything that's going on so we can get that part out of the way too. And then I'm just going to spend the rest of my weekend studying. I'm working through a book right now. I don't remember the name. I'll put it on the screen right now. I've been reading 2 different books on tarot. I've read a ton of books on Wicca. So now I'm going back to tarot. I found a book that was kind of like a refresher of like what tarot is. Again, even though I've been studying this stuff, I took a how long did I take a break for? Like a few weeks, 3 weeks to study witchcraft and Wicca, and not necessarily how to do that stuff, but what it is exactly and what the practice looks like. And part of practicing Wicca on the daily schedule that I found where you can pick the thing you want to do for the day to participate in practicing Wicca on Tuesdays, shadow work is a suggestion. And I started looking into that because I didn't know what shadow work was. And I didn't realize that I've been doing shadow work this whole time. I originally got interested in psychology to try to figure out how to fix my own problems because the therapist that I've been trying to work with in the past just doesn't work out. I don't like... My friends keep messaging me while I'm trying to make a video. I don't like that we're in a building doing therapy. I think therapy should be out in nature, first and foremost. But they can't do that because for their safety or your safety or whatever, they don't want you out in the woods walking with the therapist or the therapist walking with the client. It's a safety hazard, whatever. I get it, but at the same time, I don't agree with it. And then also, I feel like therapists are very limited to what they're allowed to say or share because of legal things. Again, there's a lot of legal limits for a therapist to be able to actually do the shadow work with you. So I said, screw it, I'm just going to figure it out on my own. And I figured out a lot of it on my own, but there's still a lot that I want to work on. So anyways, I found out that you can actually do shadow work with tarot cards, and I'm reading this book on how to do that. So I'm taking all the notes I can out of this book, learning all the different spreads for doing shadow work, and then I'm going to you're supposed to do it at an altar, actually. You're supposed to do shadow work with tarot cards at the altar in a sacred space. And I'll be doing that very soon, especially this upcoming Tuesday. Today's Saturday, September 27th. I'm parked by a church. It's so quiet over here. I love my quiet spots. I'm able to actually relax. study. A lot of my life right now is just volunteering and then doing spiritual studies and then trying to hang out with my friends and family in between that when I can. That's that's my life right now, and I feel like I'm a lot more focused and driven in life more than ever. And I feel like definitely I feel the growth. I feel the little inch by inch the growth as a person that I'm doing right now, and I'm really proud of myself for that. Speaking of volunteering, I still haven't gotten my badge or my county email, but they want me to start shadowing the person driving to pick people up and dropping them off. They said we're going to start you off with dropping people off, so I don't have to go early yet. Around noon, 1, 2, when they start dropping people off, I'm going to actually go with the staff member and learn the driving route. And then we come back and then eventually I'll just get it. And then when it is my turn to be the driver, I already know the route. Other than that, it's been the same at the center. It's been good. I've been hanging out with people, making friends. I actually got some of the people to meditate with me out in the garden. I showed up one morning. I was like, you know what I've been really wanting to do is go to the community garden and sit there and meditate with my mala beads, which is mala beads are a great tool for meditation. I was telling a lady yesterday I went to a tarot event where they kind of like teach you kind of do readings for each other to get the practice. And you can connect with the community of other tarot readers. And I was telling this one lady about mala beads and how great they are. They're a great tool for meditation. You don't have to use mala beads. You can use your hand. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4, breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4, breathe out. But what the mala beads do is I can go, I don't count to 1, 2, 3, 4. What I say is the elements out loud. I go earth, air, fire, water, breathe in, earth, air, fire, water, breathe out. And I'm going around the necklace. There's 108 beads in a mala necklace. And once I get back to my charm, my little charm right here, then I know that I did a full mala cycle. And I can choose to do another one or I can choose to stop. That way I don't need a timer on me to meditate. But yeah, I got some people to sit down and meditate with me, and it was really cool. I was really happy to do that. So I'm going to try to do that more. I'm going to try to go like 30 minutes earlier and sit in the garden and meditate and try to get people to join me and just kind of want to see how that shifts people's mood, I've noticed their mood has been versus how this could change that. And then if it does, I want to bring it up to them like, hey, I've noticed meditation has actually improved your mood throughout the day. If you want to do more, let me know. We can go out in the middle of the time that they're open and do more, or I can show up earlier and do more. I think it'd be very interesting. And yeah, so last night I went to a tarot event. My least favorite part of social gatherings is when we have to introduce ourselves to all these different strangers. I hate it. I hate it, man. That's when my social anxiety comes out, because it's like, I feel like no one really, I don't want to say nobody cares, but like, it doesn't, like if somebody really wanted to get to know you, they'll come up and be like, hey, what's your name? Okay, nice to meet you. You're like tarot, that's cool, man. Like, what interests you in tarot? Like, and then nobody really does that. And then we got into some kind of, they gave us like this sheet of paper that had stuff on it. And it was basically about, instead of learning the definition of the cards. Just look at the card and literally think about the imagery on the card. And the card the lady was showing us was the Hermit. And she's like, okay, in the Hermit, what do you see? You see an old man. You see him wearing a robe. You see him holding a staff. You see him holding a lantern. What does this stuff mean to you? The lantern means like guidance to me. The staff means support. The robe means comfort. And then you can do readings like that. And then the other half of the class was talking about intuitive reading, where you just go based off of what the cards make you feel. And I can't do that. I'm not an intuitive reader. I'm a literal reader. Looking at the imagery and then looking at like the definition, not the definition, but like what the imagery means to me makes more sense than just looking at an image and going, okay, well, this makes me feel this type of way. So this must mean that that's how you feel. That doesn't make sense to me. And that it was cool. It was cool. Met some cool people. It's definitely a female dominated space. I think witchcraft is also a female dominated space. I feel for the first time in my life, I feel like the minority, because everywhere else in life is pretty much male dominated spaces. I don't think there's a problem with that. It's just an observation that I made. And I'm curious why I'm drawn to these female dominated spaces. Not the spaces, but like the actual like witchcraft and tarot. And why is that so female dominated? Why isn't there more men who are interested in this stuff? Because this stuff is very beneficial for all human beings' minds and spirit. Other than that, I don't really have much else to update you guys on. Yeah, so let's get into talking about the altar. What is an altar? Why do we use altars? Why would you want to use an altar? Who uses an altar? What is in an altar? What are these different pieces in an altar do? What do they mean? What do you really need? What don't you really need? We'll get into all of that right now. Also, I think that I'm gonna make a video in the future about meditation, because I think that could benefit anybody in any spiritual practice. I think meditation is absolutely the necessity of spirituality. I think it's very, very important to use it as a tool. Even if you're not a spiritual person, I think a non-spiritual person can use meditation to ground themselves, to either raise energy or to calm energy. And I think I want to talk about that more in a future video for sure. But let's get into this. So I did a lot of reading on witchcraft, which led me to Wicca. Let me start off by saying every Wiccan is a witch, but not every witch is Wiccan. The difference between a witch and Wiccan is, I feel like a witch and a Wiccan do almost the same things, but a Wiccan is very much more disciplined. And I think that witchcraft in general, there are spirits and energies that you harnessed when you're doing witchcraft. And I think in Wicca, you are more, you want to have a more intimate, knowledgeable relationship with what those spirits are. Or you can utilize the different deities to manifest the type of witchcraft that you want to do. it just makes the most sense to me. If you're going to do witchcraft, why not get to know these spirits that you're, or the energy that you're working with? Both witches and Wiccans use altars. You don't have to work with deities to have an altar. The altar is not just for God or goddess work. The altar is essentially just a sacred space that you do your spiritual work at. It's like the workbench for a witch. So the first thing that I got was this cheesy little witchcraft kit. All right, let me show you what's in here, man. It's a good little starter kit. It's got a little bit of everything that you think you would need. It's got all these little glasses of different types of crystal. This one is green aventurine. I think that's how you say that. And it comes in this little vial. And I can spread this on my altar if I want to work with the energies that this crystal gives out. There's, what else is in here? There's lapis. There's tiger's eye. I like tiger's eye. Tiger's eye, I wear for protection. Amazonite. I think I'm saying that wrong. Amazonite. Yeah. All sorts of different crystals in here. And then it comes with a, what is this called again? It's selenite. This is what this is called. It's called selenite. I can't believe I forgot that. Selenite is a lot of times is used as a charging station to put, you could put tarot cards on here to charge the energy of your tarot cards. You can put crystals on here to charge your crystals. You can use it for basically anything. It's mainly used for charging energy. I do want to get a bigger slab at some time and try to start using that. It came with a candle kit that I've been using. I use these during the Mabon Sabbath. Speaking of candles, I got these from the dollar store. They're like prayer candles. And I ordered wick from online. And what I want to do is I want to melt these and dip the wick and make my own taper candles. So I'll be doing that in a future video as well. And then it came with these crystals that you can wear. I got rose quartz, white quartz, tiger's eye. I don't remember what the green one is. I think it's Amazonite. I think I'm saying that right. Or was it jade? I remember that it meant good luck. I remember looking it up and it meant good luck. I don't remember what crystal this is, but they are real crystals. I looked at them. I was worried that they were going to send me fake acrylic crystals. But I looked up how to tell if they're real, and they're absolutely real. So I'll wear those sometimes. And like, I like the tiger eye. I'll wear that for protection sometimes. And I think it looks really cool too. I mean, and then it came with all these herbs. So there's like mugwort, nettle leaf, rose petals, white sage, all sorts of herbs to do herb magic. You can rub your candles into the herbs and light them and do magic that way. Or you could sprinkle these around the altar and allow the magic properties of these herbs to manifest in whatever you're doing with your altar. And yeah, that was the first thing that I got when looking for this kind of stuff. I haven't really used this stuff much yet, but I plan to do that soon. I need to start practicing more spells and stuff like that. All right, and so for our altar, yeah, there's a lot of different tools. You don't have to use every recommended tool in an altar, but there are some traditional foundations that I think you would want to respect. So first of all, your centerpiece, the centerpiece of every witches and Wiccan altar is going to be a pentagram. This one is made out of very thin wood. This will go in the middle of my altar. It says here, a disc or tile inscribed with a pentagram representing the element of earth and often used for protection. This is going to be your centerpiece. All right, this will be the centerpiece. So let me set this up. I do have a few different candle tapers, and these are going to be used for different things. These I'm going to carve the triple goddess and the horn god symbols, and I'll be using these specifically for when I want to work with deities at my altar, a triple goddess and the horn god. And then I got these for when I do shadow work at the altar. I'll be using a white candle to represent my light and a black candle representing my shadow. And I'll be having those at the altar. And I'll just set those up right now as what they are. Okay, also, I mean, you can use just one of these for incense. I burnt a hole in mine. I don't know if you can see that, because I put an incense cone on the middle and I didn't think that it was going to damage this, and it did. I messed up. So what I ended up getting instead, and this one's already broken, I gotta fix it. But I found this box, this incense box, and it's got the pentagram on it. I don't know if you can see that. And all these holes on top. And it's used, you can put the cones in here, or there's holes on the side to stick the incense sticks in, and they just hang out right here. Then you close it and the smoke comes out of the top. It also has a compartment to keep your sticks in on the side. I love this thing. This thing is so cool. I use this every time I'm meditating here. I'll light an incense stick and I'll light a candle on each side, and I'll get into a meditative state, and I'll feel really good coming out of that. So I feel like that would go in the middle on the outside of my altar. Would be the best place to put that. Other things could be candle holders. This is when you get pretty decorative with the altar. You don't need candle holders. I found 6 of these for $2, but they're also having a 50% off sale. So I got 6 of these for $1. It's pretty good. They're really beautiful little transparent red candles. And if I was using this to light the incense cones in this, because it was safer. But I also use them to light these tiny little candles. I forget what these are called, but I have a lot of these. I use these a lot. And I'll stick these in here and I'll light it like that. And it looks really gorgeous like that. Another thing for decoration wise, I guess, and harnessing the energy of the local animals, is I've been collecting these crow feathers and then cleaning them. So these ones are already clean. I found these on the floor by a tree where crows hang out. You freeze them, you put them in a Ziploc, this isn't the one I froze them in. This is a new one. This is a clean one. And I have another bag in the freezer that I need to take out and clean, actually. These have been in the freezer for like a week now. You put them in the freezer for up to 3 days. It kills whatever's living on it. They freeze to death. And then you take warm water and soap and gently just clean them. And then you set them somewhere to dry. And then they're good to use. You can use them to make a dream catcher, or you can use them at the altar. But yeah, I think they're really cool. I like ravens. I like crows. And I'll just like set these in at the altar. And I'll probably use these to make other things in the future. I've been collecting them. There's so many crows that live by the center. So when I go walking around, I find feathers everywhere all the time. And if they look clean enough, I'll take them and I'll freeze them and clean them. I have this little, it's like a card holding disc that has the sun and the moon on it. I use this if I want to prop up a tarot card. Like when I was doing the Mabon Sabbath, I had the sun card to represent the sun. And I thought this is really cool. I don't know where I would put this at this altar, to be honest. Maybe here. What else? Now, what I would call a necessity to an altar is what's called an athame. Athame is a double-edged dagger, both sides. This one is not sharpened. You don't want to sharpen one. The thing about the athame is that you never use it to cut anything in the physical realm. This is only for, it says here, a ritual knife used for directing energy, cutting cords. Okay, so I guess that's the only physical thing you would cut, is doing cord magic. Cord magic is when you have two candles representing usually you and somebody else, and you wrap a cord around those candles and you burn the candles until the cord collapses. And that's kind of like breaking the bond between you and somebody else. And performing other magical tasks, often representing the elements of fire. And when you're using this for directing energy, let's say you're casting a circle around your altar, you're using your imagination. If you guys ever played VR, in VR, you guys know that you need to draw a boundary around you so that the headset knows when you're out of boundary and that you're about to hit your wall, right? This is basically the same thing in magic, is you're imagining yourself. Use this and you imagine yourself drawing a boundary around you. But this boundary is a protection from evil or ill intent in the spiritual realm. I hope that makes sense. So I have my athame to do that. I will usually set that on the side somewhere. I have incense cones. I have acorns. You guys know about, if you guys watched my last video, you know that I needed acorns to do a ritual to start my relationship with the horn god. And you can also use these for decoration around the altar, or just to have more elements present at the altar. This obviously represents earth. If you want more earth representation at your altar, acorns are really good for that. You don't have to work with the horn god. You don't have to work with Wiccan deities to still do that. And then I have a bell Really cool bell. It's got a pentagon, pentagram, pinnacle, whatever on top. And bells are the elements of air, but also bells are used for cleansing. Just as much as sage is used for cleansing, you can also use a bell for cleansing as well. What does it say here about bells? Use to signal the beginning or end of a ritual. There's that too. You start your ritual, and then you can end your ritual. But it's also used for cleansing. I'll put that at my altar. This is just a random bag of different animal teeth and crystals. I don't know if you can see that. My mom gave me this. She said she went to some shop, what would you even call it? Spiritual shop. And she said they were giving these out for really cheap. So she got me one. I actually used some of this to make a wand for my mini altar. And I'll talk about the mini altar at the end of this video. I have a chalice. The chalice represents the element of water. What does it say about that on here? Used for holding water or other ritual liquids representing the element of water. Yeah. So if I want to offer a beverage to the god or goddess, I'll do it through here. If I just want something on my altar to represent the element of water, I got it. I'm trying to explain this in a way where you can look at it through a Wiccan lens, or you can look at it through just a witchcraft lens. You don't have to be Wiccan to still do this. Just again, the difference is a Wiccan will work with specific deities, and a witch will just use this as a workbench to do their work. And then coming down to the end of it, this is my offering bowl, which I found for really cheap at a thrift store. I found a lot of this stuff, like the bread glasses, the chalice, the taper candle holders. I found those at the dollar store. I found this offering bowl. I thought this was really beautiful. First of all, really beautiful green bowl. I love the material and the color and the feeling I get when I hold it. And it feels very much like an offering bowl. And then down the aisle from that was this really interesting spoon, which has like a duck tip at the end. I thought that was really, really interesting. And that can be used to fill up my altering bowl. I feel like I might be missing a few more things. They might be here in my bag. A cauldron is also another tool used at an altar. This is a really tiny one. This is not for cooking. It says here, cauldron, a versatile tool used for burning herbs, mixing ingredients, or brewing teas. I think I would just use this if I need to put herbs in water. I think I'll stick them in here if I need to. This is more of a decorative piece for me. I don't think I would really use a cauldron in the work that I'm going to be doing, but I just thought this was really neat and I want it somewhere at my altar. And then going back to the athame, going back to how this is never really used for any physical, metaphysical cutting. If you ever do cut yourself or anybody or anything with this, you're supposed to cleanse it or throw it away. Yeah, it's a big no-no to ever use this for anything other than spiritual cutting. It's saying you can cord cut with this. I got to look more into that. I'm not sure if that's true or not, because next to the athame is called a bowline. The bowline is, oh yeah, so the athame is usually, double-sided dagger with a black handle, right? And they say that in traditional Wiccan, if you do want to do physical cutting to cut up herbs or cord or carvings or whatever, you want to use a white handled bowline. A bowline is a curved knife. Sometimes they look like, you ever seen a Russian symbol with the curved knife and the hammer? That's what a bowline is, but it needs to have a white handle. I'm surprised that's not on this list. It should be. And this is what you use to do metaphysical cuttings. You don't, the athame is very sacred to spiritual space and spiritual cutting. And this is okay to use in metaphysical cutting. So other things that I don't have that I didn't really feel like were necessary. Oh, I do have a mortar and pestle. I do have one of those. I found it. So a mortar and pestle, you put herbs in here. You could put pieces of pine cone. You could put anything really that you find in nature. And this is really just to grind it all down to a powder. I'll be using this in the future to make my own incense cones and sticks. I have a ton right now that I'm sampling and going through, so it's going to be a while. But yeah, this is great for grinding flowers, herbs, natural, like leaves, cones, whatever, into powder. And then you use those powders to make things. This can also be used to make guacamole. Yeah, and I think I'll be doing that too in the future. So there's that, but this doesn't need to be at the altar. If you're doing this and you want to be in a spiritual sacred space while you're doing this, then you want to set it up at the altar. Usually people have what's called a book of shadows. A book of shadows is basically a witch's journal, where you keep all the spells that work for you, the tools that work for you, even a philosophy that works for you, different types of meditation that work for you, exercises that you do, everything that's really connected your own practice is going to be held in a book of shadows. Traditional Wiccans study the high priestess and high priest are like the teachers in a coven. They'll have their own book of shadows they developed. Students of those high priestess and high priest will study their book of shadows and then take what they like the most from that and then develop from their own book of shadows. I keep mine in my phone. I don't have a physical book of shadows. A little more new age with some of this stuff. I prefer to have this stuff electronically, but I think in the future, when I have a more established book of shadows, I'll write it down on a physical book. Let's see, broom or besom. I don't have a broom. I looked into it. I don't really need a broom. Brooms are used for cleansing sacred space. So you would want to broom your altar. It's like a little hand broom. It looks like a witch's broom, but it's the size of a hand broom. And you would use that just to cleanse your sacred space. I prefer a sage or a bell to do that. It's not really necessary. What else? A wand. Okay, so the wand, it says a tool for invoking elements and directing energy, often representing the elements of air. But I think wand is the element of fire. At least that's what I've learned through tarot cards. I haven't made my wand yet, but I found a stick that I want to make it out of. So I'll be trying to do that sometime. I'll try to carve this into a wand. that I can use if it's ever required in a ritual or spell that I find. But so far, I don't see myself using a wand. So with all that said, let me show you real quick what my altar looks like. Obviously, it'll look a lot better with candles lit. All right. These are the tools I required for my beginner altar. I think over time, I might be upgrading or changing or adding or removing things that I feel is necessary. Yeah, so that's an altar. That is just again, it's a sacred space to depending on how you want to look at it or what you're trying to do with it, it is a sacred workbench to do witchcraft. Or to work, sacred space to work with deities, or a sacred space to do shadow work, whatever you're trying to do. It all comes down to it just being your own spiritual sacred space. And then speaking of, I guess I'll get into the mini altar real quick. I'm still working on this. I'm still building this, but I have most of the things that I need for this. And I will show you what that is. So you can make this out of anything. I chose the traditional Altoids 10 mini altar because this is such the perfect size for me to like just throw in this bag and take a little altar. I don't mean to cover the microphone. To take a little altar with me when I go out to the woods and do some work out there. And a mini altar, you're going to want a mini, again, you treat it just like a regular altar. So I have a mini pinnacle that I use for the centerpiece of this altar. I have a little candle for my representation of the element of fire, the acorn that I have from the ritual I did to represent earth, or to, oh, and the key, the little ornament key to connect myself with the horn god. This is the wand I made, I was telling you guys about. I made this out of a little stick I found. I wrapped it with hemp wick. I stuck a tooth on this end and an amethyst crystal right here in the middle. And I made a little wand to keep in my mini altar. I also have a piece of amethyst in here. I have an incense cone. Incense represents the element of air. I have a little white knife if I ever need to cut anything up. This does fold out as a tiny little pocket knife. And this thing is sharp, so I have to be careful. This thing is really sharp. I still need to go to the beach and get seashells to represent the element of water. And then I want to put an image or symbol of the triple goddess on this side and the horn god inside on this side. So when I'm using this, I can prop this up like this and have that imagery right at the back of my mini altar. And then figure out how I want to decorate the outside so it's not just an Altoid 10. So it's maybe black it out or something. I don't know. I'm still working on it, but this is for people that want to go out in nature. In Wicca, it's very much encouraged to go spend time in nature as much as you can. And you don't want to haul all this stuff with you to do that. So you can have a mini altar to do that. And set this up and do your prayers, or do spell work, or just meditate at your altar, whatever you want to do. All right, well, I hope that that has give you guys a better understanding um, of what an altar is, what an altar would look like, the pieces for an altar. Um, you, everyone's altar is going to look different. You don't have to get any other stuff. You want to get the things that you really, really need. Like I would say, the pentagram, centerpiece pentagram, is very important. You can just get like, what is this? 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can get like 5 sticks and tie them together to be the shape of the pentagram, and just put that in the center of your altar. You don't have to spend any money to do that. Just go find some sticks, make it to the shape of the star, lay it in the middle of your altar. There you go. You got your pentagram. You can go and find feather. Like this is free. This was free. I found raven feathers and it's free. I very much encourage you to go thrifting as much as you can for this stuff. The stuff that I ordered online is because I couldn't find them at thrift stores and I was too eager to finally get an altar together. Also, there's people who don't physically need this stuff. They're able to meditate and visualize an altar and spend time in that space, in that visual space in their head at an altar. If you're ever in a position where you can't take this stuff with you or don't feel comfortable doing that, there is also the option to learn how to do that, to meditate and build an altar in your mind and spend time at that altar that you built in your mind. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I think that's it. I'm going to spend the time that I need to edit this video, and then I'm gonna make a lunch real quick and then spend the rest of my weekend studying how to do shadow work with tarot cards. And then I think I'll start doing a spread on Tuesday when it's time for me to do shadow work. So, yeah, if you guys have any questions about anything, feel free to leave the comments with your questions. And I'm more than happy to help. I want to make sure that it's very clear that I'm still learning about all this stuff. I'm not a high priest. I'm not a professional yet. I'm still on the beginning path. I'm still the fool of the tarots, maybe even the magician at this point in the line of tarots, in my stage, in my path of going down this route. So obviously do your own research. There is a lot of really great books. I recommend any book from Scott Cunningham. He has a lot of very insightful wisdom to learn from. That's where I learned all of this stuff from. I learned this from the books. I'm not making this up. I didn't Google it. I learned it from other Wiccan practitioners. All right. Well, with that said, I hope you guys are all good. Hope you're doing all right. Hope you're taking care of your mental health as much as you guys take care of your physical health. And I guess I'm going to get out of here. I love you guys.